July 4th is a date celebrated by the people of America as this marks the anniversary of the country's independence, on what is typically celebrated by parties, parades and fireworks. July 4th of 2022 would become a date Americans would never forget. On 4th of July 2022, people gathered in their thousands in Highland Park for an Independence Day parade. Highland Park is situated in the suburb of Lake County, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. The parade would begin at 10 a.m. at the intersection of Laurel and St. John's Avenue and would aim to come to a close at Sunset Park. Whilst attendees would prepare for an exciting day ahead, the event would come to a shocking halt just 15 minutes in. At 10:14 a.m., several shots were heard as the parade continued. Witnesses described believing this was part of the parade and thought nothing of it.
About, a little bit after the band went through, we hear and probably heard 50 rounds in total, at least. Everyone thought it was fireworks. Everyone's like, oh, fireworks, or, the military people had just gone through with the shotguns. And I was like, something's wrong. I grabbed my dad and started running.
This was until they were alerted by other guests running away frantically. Police say a single gunman with an AR-15 type rifle fired upwards of 70 rounds from a rooftop into the crowd.
He dropped his rifle and he blended in with the crowd and he escaped.
The gunman aimed a rifle from the top of a cosmetics building on the corner of Central Avenue and 2nd Street and fired a total of 83 shots into the crowd. On investigating, it appeared that the gunman had gained access to the roof via an unsecured ladder attached to the building. More than 100 law enforcement officers responded to the shooting, and as they approached the rooftop, the gunman fled the scene immediately, leaving the Smith & Wesson semi-automatic rifle behind. The shooter allegedly left Illinois and headed to the Wisconsin area, where he planned a further attack with another rifle he kept on his person. It is said that another Independence Day celebration was taking place in this area and the shooter had intentions of continuing shootings here. Sadly, the attack claimed the lives of 7 people and a further 46 were injured. Some of the victims have been identified, amongst which was 78-year-old Nicholas Toledo, who has been visiting his family from Mexico, as well as a married couple who had attended the festival with their 2-year-old son. The toddler had been seen wandering alone before it emerged that both his parents had been shot and killed. Following appeals by authorities, the grandparents of the child have since come forward. A GoFundMe was created to raise money for the child, which to date has seen an astounding total of almost $3 million in donations. The FBI worked closely with the Highland Park authorities and the Chicago police to conduct the investigation. It was believed that only one man was responsible for the shooting, and the attack was described as very random and very intentional. Officers searched for the suspected shooter, and 8 hours after the attack, the manhunt came to an end, and 21-year-old Robert Crimo III was arrested in his vehicle. Crimo is believed to have dressed in women's clothing to escape the scene and appear as though he was an innocent spectator. He walked quickly to his mother's home as she lived nearby and took her car. From information released by authorities, a member of the public was able to identify the vehicle and dialed 911 immediately. Robert Crimo, also known as Bobby, is an amateur rapper and goes by the stage name Awake the Rapper. Months before the shooting, Crimo posted a number of videos online which showed violent imagery and depicted mass murder. From Crimo's social media activity, it appeared that he would fantasize about mass shootings and post highly disturbing content.
I know what I have to do. I know what's in it, not only for me, but for everyone else. Where am I going? I don't know. I don't care. There is no past or future. Just the now.
A search of Crimo's home uncovered multiple other firearms. At this time, the motive for the attack remains unknown. During a court hearing on July 6th, prosecutors informed of the evidence gathered against Crimo so far, which includes several eyewitness accounts, photos and videos from onlookers, surveillance footage, and physical evidence. Crimo has had previous encounters with police. However, to the public's horror, Crimo passed 4 background checks to legally purchase 5 guns, amongst which the rifle used in the shooting. In April 2019, police received a report informing that Crimo had attempted suicide. Months later, in September 2019, a family member reported that Crimo had threatened to kill everyone and that he had a collection of knives. Authorities visited Crimo's home on 2 previous occasions where they confiscated 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword. Crimo's father claimed ownership of the knives and stated that they were being stored in his son's wardrobe for safekeeping. The police were satisfied with this account and returned the knives to Crimo's father later that afternoon. In relation to the recent attacks, the judge ordered that Crimo is to be held without bond. A public defender has been appointed to defend him. The Lake County State's attorney has announced that Mr. Crimo has been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. If Crimo is convicted, he faces a mandatory life sentence and is also expected to receive several more charges that center the individual victims, including attempted murder, aggravated discharge, and aggravated battery. Now, in my personal opinion, I believe the authorities have a lot to answer for, as it appears that they missed so many opportunities to put Robert Crimo behind bars. I understand that when police seized the knives, the dagger and the sword, Crimo's dad said that it was his, and it was quickly returned, but maybe this could have been investigated further, as the case was NFA'd or no further actioned on the same day. Also, if you remember, the police were called twice in 2019 in relation to him. The first time because of a suicide attempt on his life, and secondly because he threatened to kill everyone with his collection of knives. That being said, what were authorities thinking when they allowed him to purchase guns? And how on earth did he pass 4 background checks? Do you believe Crimo should have been locked up much sooner? And what are your thoughts on the gun laws in America? Let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've gotten this far, please remember to like the video, share and subscribe. See you in the next one.